Your picture's over there.
Don't worry about it.
Morning, how are you? I'm on the motorcycle.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So I want to start off a new Indian. Back to a little bit of the momentous, and the din that what we're talking about is the halachas of halva. So the halachas of halva are going to revolve around. We're going to start with the sugya about the mitzvah to lend money, and after that we're going to go into a price to pay back. If the guy's not paying back, what type of pressure you're allowed to put on him? There's a lot of little egos. What about the arev? Where does the arev fit in? Is it mitzvah to be an arev? What about a heter iska? Is there mitzvah to be a heter iska? Is there bankruptcy? There's a lot of different halachas when you get borrowing and lending money. But let's just, the basic halacha, the basic shaila, which is the nature of the mitzvah to lend money. Okay? So, a very simple question. Let's just start with this. I'll give a few examples of questions. When Moshe has developed a shaila, David actually asked Moshe that someone asked him to borrow money. Someone asked him to borrow money. Now the only way that he doesn't have the cash laying around. The way for him to lend the money would be he would have to take it out of his line of credit. So now it's going to cost him money to go lend the other guy money. Now he can't charge, which is a whole different shiur in Hilchos, he cannot charge the person who's using the line of credit, he cannot charge him that interest because that's ribis. So essentially he would have to pay out of his own pocket to do the mitzvah of lending money. So you would to do that, you would to spend money, you would to spend money on a lulav, you would to spend money on an esrog, and you would to spend money to do the mitzvah of lending money. Right? It would cost me money to get the money. So now I'm going to cost me money to get the money, and I'm mechuyev to do that. Or if I'm not mechuyev, so David wanted to time that money that you're spending on the interest that you're not charging Yanim is also part of the mitzvah, so you can take that off of Ma'aser. So if you're borrowing $100,000, right, and for a year, and you're gonna have to pay back $108,000, so the $100,000 that hopefully you're gonna get back, so that is not that you got back. You did a great mitzvah with it, but the $8,000 interest that you're paying, you can't charge him, you can't pass it on to him, but that you could take off of Ma'aser maybe, because if you're not, or if you say no, I'm mechuyev. This is a mitzvah, and I have an ability to do the mitzvah. So maybe I'm mechuyev to pay that money to get money to lend it. So
the second guy can't pay the bank directly?
No, I cannot pay the bank directly. There's a very big misconception that people have is that this is nothing to do with me. I'm just facilitating, and he's actually not even paying me. He's paying the bill directly to the bank, and therefore, obviously, it's mutter. This is a very big misconception that it's ribis k'tzutza midiraisa. It's an issur deraisa of ribis to do that. And if he actually paid the bank, you're mechuyev to pay him back. You're not even allowed to keep the money.
It's non-attributed.
What?
It's non-attributed.
Right, because
Be added to
as
the
far as
money.
that's concerned, well, that's very complicated.
Oh.
But I'm saying the idea is that the bank has no idea or couldn't care less about your arrangements with your friends. Right? So the bank is coming after you, so the loan to the bank is to you, and you are now re-lending the money to your friend, and therefore there's loan A to B, and then a separate loan from B to C, and therefore the ribis which the bank is charging you is not transferable to him, and you're re-lending the money to him at interest. So that's pashut that he can't pay that. The shaila is, you can have him pay it to you with heter iska, but then you're not doing the mitzvah of halva maybe. That's another question. If you write a heter iska, the Chofetz Chaim maybe mashma, you're not a kind of mitzvah of halva. Because it's a business transaction, you're getting money out of it. So all these things you have to see. So first of all, we know that there's a mitzvah of tzedakah in the Torah, like we heard a shiur from Rav Khan last time he was here when he was here. The mitzvah of tzedakah, and Klal Yisrael does the mitzvah of tzedakah in an unbelievable way. We give out so much tzedakah, it's unbelievable. What about the mitzvah of halva, to lend someone money? So I printed out the psukim over here that's negate to this mitzvah. There's two psukim, one is in Shmais, one is in Pashas Mishpatim, one is in Parashas Re'eh. Interestingly, both of them we lay both of these psukim on Yom Tov. Shmais we lay on Chol Moed Pesach, Re'eh we lay on Pesach and Sukkos and Shavuos. So the pasuk says like this: In Kesef Talva Es Ami, if you're going to lend money to my nation, Es Ha'ani Ima, do it to a poor person. Lo Yisiyah Lo K'Noishet, it should not be a noishe. You shouldn't harass him for the money. Lo Yisiyah Lo Neshech, don't put neshech on him. Okay? So, you would tell me, okay, really what this pasuk is telling me is don't charge interest. There's no pasuk here that tells me to lend money. As a matter of fact, it says, Im kesef tal v'esami. If you lend money, don't pay with interest. Right? If, right? Like the pasuk discerns mitzvahs like that. If you want to get divorced, write a get. There's no mitzvah to give a get. Don't walk away from the shiur. Right? No, there's a mitzvah. Right? So who said that there's a mitzvah to lend money? Dr. Rashi. I didn't bring Rashi here. Rashi brings a chazal on this pasuk that there's 3 places in the Torah where it says im is a lashon tzibur, is not a lashon of im. It's a lashon of a chiyuv. Im kesef, you are chiyuv to pay to get kesef talbot. It's not im if you want to. There's a chiyuv. In mizbeach avanim tivneli. If you're going to build a mizbeach, it doesn't mean if. There's a chiyuv to build a mizbeach. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, the Darash Moshe says gavaldik in the hair. So why did the Torah Taka say im? So say kesef tal v'esami. So he says because other mitzvahs you do it because you're mechuyev to do it. Over here you should do the mitzvah because you want to do it. So it makes it as if it's a reshus. As if it's a reshus because even if it would be a reshus, a yid would lend another yid money. So the reason the Torah puts it in a language that indicates a little bit like you have a choice in it is because really we want that you should want to do it. So Mela uses the lashon im, but really it's not im. There's a chiyuv gomor to lend someone money if you can. It's like there's a famous Rambam. Everyone knows the first half of the Rambam. That the Rambam says that when you walk by a treif restaurant, when you walk by something that smells good or that looks good, you shouldn't say it's disgusting. You should say be'etzim I wouldn't want to eat it, but ma'aseh tertzim salon. Be'etzim I would want to, but the Kadosh Baruch Hu, I'm doing it because of the mitzvah. That's the Rambam. Right? So people know that's a famous Rambam that you should do the mitzvahs because Hashem wants, not because it's disgusting to you. Because Dr. Rambam, it's only by Ben Adam L'Makom. By Ben Adam L'Chaver, it's not like that. There's a sick person. Oh, Bessim, I don't want to visit him. The Torah says I should. No, by Ben Adam L'Chaver, you should want to do the mitzvahs. It's not that you shouldn't want to. And anyway, so this is the mitzvah in Kesef Talvis. There's another pasuk in Devarim. It says Kifos Rak Tiftach Esyot Chaloi V'Haveit Tavitenu Deimach Soyrei. That there's a din of Haveit Tavitenu is that you should lend him the money. Lashon Rambam in Sefer Mitzvahs Reishot of Malva. Dr. Rambam Mitzvahs Aseh LaHalvois LaAniyei Yisrael. There's a mitzvah to lend money to a poor person. So we're going to have to keep this in mind because there's a big noisei. There's a big noisei if there's a mitzvah to lend a rich person. What if there's a person that's not considered poor? He wouldn't be eligible for tzedakah. But why isn't he eligible for tzedakah? Because he has enough money to pay his basic bills. But he doesn't have basic bills because this guy has a lot of business going on. And he has banks coming after him and all sorts of things, right? And he's not going to be able to get past a certain hump in his business, and he needs money to borrow. So he's not poor. He can pay his bills. He's not going on Tov Shabbos. He can pay his bills, and he has food to put on his table, and he can't even pay his rent. But he's going to lose his business. Right? Is there a mitzvah to lend him money? Is that included in this mitzvah? So the Rosh and the Rambam, we're going to see this. The Chavetz Chaim deals with it, Mamash Beferish. But the Rosh and the Rambam is mitzvahs asay lahalvois la'aniyei Yisrael. He says the mitzvah is to lend to a poor person. Shenemar in kesef talva es ami. If you're going to lend money, es he'ani imach. Yochol rishos tamulim mahavei tavitenu. Mitzvah zu Dr. Rambam gedola min tzedakah. Are you aware of this? What I say? It's a bigger mitzvah to lend money than to give tzedakah. Why? Shezek kvar nitzrach lishol v'zeh adayin lo higia l'mida zu. The reason the Rambam says it is because this guy is not as bad off as the ani. Therefore what? So there's 2 pshatim in this. One pshat is that therefore you're doing it in a way that's less embarrassing to him. You know, people borrow money. The guy that's borrowing money thinks he's still a man d'amar. I'm borrow money, whatever, I'll pay you back, I just need to so he doesn't feel so desperate. So Mamela, you're giving him a feeling that he's a man d'amar over here, and therefore it's a better mitzvah tzedakah. The other pshat in the Rambam is going to be a pasuk we're going to bring at the end. There's another mitzvah called the chazakta boy, which is to help somebody not become an ani. help someone not become desperate is also a mitzvah. And maybe by lending your money early on, you could kind of plug the hole, right? And there's this guy comes, he has no job, so you say, I'll lend you money, borrow it, buy a car. You can become an Uber driver, make a little bit of money, you'll pay me back for the car. And eventually, once you pay back for the car, you own the car. Then you could make some more money. Then you could, move up and hopefully eventually, put yourself on your feet. So there's a way that you could save him from poverty. So Al Kaponim, the Rambam says it's a bigger mitzvah. Okay? Now, before we go further, I do want to make a major disclaimer, which is that that there's a line from the Kotzker that the Gemara says that minayin sheminig mevatal Allah. There's certain places that the minig is stronger than the halacha. And the Gemara wants to find the makar. Sometimes the minig is mevatal the halacha. So the Kotzker said, I have a better ride than the Gemara. The halacha is that when you borrow money, you have to pay back, and the minig is that you don't. So what happens is that people roll their eyes at this mitzvah because I'm lending someone money. They have no real way of paying me back. I assume they're not really going to pay me back. So what are we talking about over here? So Chafetz Chaim makes it very clear, and now we'll learn it inside. We'll just make that disclaimer now. What we're talking about is where you're sure you're going to be back because you took a mashkin. You took something that you kind of guaranteed the payment. Maybe you have an arev, maybe you have a mashkin, maybe you have other ways to guarantee. But you have the lesson of the Chafetz Chaim is that when you lent him the money, you lent him. You have to know that he had it to pay you back and it will pay you back. If not, then we're not talking about halva. You're invited tzedakah, basically. The Yashiv says that if you lent someone money and eventually you realize that he's not paying you back, so he says that you kind of nice on it. If he does end up paying you back, it's like new income and you can take meiser off of it. It's like brand new money. So the idea we're talking about is hopefully money that you can get back. Okay. Now.
So it kind of means that you have to be very thoughtful, like with a lot of intention of how
it's much more complicated to do this mitzvah than to just give away money.
Yeah.
But if you do it,
strategy.
Well,
it takes a lot of strategy.
But hopefully, if you do it, you could do bigger amounts because you can afford to lend more money than you can give, theoretically. Right? Because you can always get it back and you can be doing the mitzvah many times with the same money. That's number one. And number two is, like we're saying in the Rambam, 2 reasons why it's a better mitzvah. So theoretically speaking, right?
Well, at this point in the cool,
He just...
No, because the full amount is my share once I'm Meyayashit. So I lent him $1,000. I'm Meyayashit. Now I take $1,000 off my share. Now I get $1,000 back.
The point what I was bringing out from him is that it's a realistic thing that people borrow money and don't pay back. And maybe it's like he's saying it's real. Like you gave up hope on it. It's chal. That's like it's chal. You gave it away. That's what I'm saying. So it's a real issue. That happens. So what we're assuming now, you're correct. It takes the Chafetz Chaim is going to say at the very end the proper way to do this mitzvah. Maybe it's to invest, quote unquote, your money into a gemach. So there's an existing system out there that they do the vetting and they have a system for arevim. Maybe they even have credit cards or whatever, and they have a way of making sure they get back the money. So I don't have to be busy with it, but I can I give the money into an existing gemach.
That's without meiser money?
That's what meiser. That's a chelik of your meiser.
Yeah.
It's chelik of your
It's
meiser.
not your meiser every year, but I'm saying 1 year if you have $10,000 of meiser money, so you could give. He says how much? Let's say a third of it to this gemach, and now next year goes to give a third. That money is going to be lent many
You're
times.
lending it to the Gemach or you're donating to the Gemach?
It's a good question.
If you're donating to the Gemach, no, then it's one-time tzedakah, it's not a loan.
Right.
You're not lending it to anyone.
So are you, no, but you, so,
But they're your shliach.
they're shliach to lend it out, it's a
They're
become.
your
So
shliach
that's
to
their
lend
money.
it and collect
No,
it.
it's not, it's not, they're not anybody, they're just shlichim.
But it's not your money though.
No,
You can get it back.
You don't have a say on, you don't have a say who you're lending it
If
to.
I give $10,000 to a loan amount, I can't come back until 2 years later that I want my money back.
Let's say you.
So then it's a loan.
Probably Robert Yeshe wants to
It's a loan. It's not a donation. It's not doing
No,
anything.
But it's nicer money that's
That's my
being
point.
used to lend.
Well, if a loan counts for money, then.
Exactly.
It still counts as Meiser even though you get it back?
You want
Well, what are you
it
gonna do with it when you
You
get it
have to give it
back?
back again.
Give it
When you
back.
get it back, you're also gonna use it for lending.
Ah, so it's always
So-
designated
Yeah,
Meiser,
so
you get
what
it
are you-
back, but it's
When
not
you get it back,
yours.
but now you're gonna lend it again.
So what are you Makayim? The mitzvah staka or the halva?
It's not halva, but halva is greater mitzvah than tzedakah.
So then it's not staka.
It's halva, but halva is greater than tzedakah.
If you lend it to a gemach, who's ultimately responsible? The gemach?
Okay, now, let's not get into this gemach right
Or
now.
who they lent it to?
Money that you can take from bank money?
It's a portion of your mice. Now,
You can
what are you gonna
take
do with it when
money,
you get it
money.
back? What are you gonna do with it when you get it back?
I'm not up to them. You can take your mice money and just lend it out.
Yeah,
Just-
I mean, to an ani, we're talking. If you're gonna lend it to an usher who needs it for a business deal, maybe not. Or with a heter, maybe not.
All your
But,
investors.
but any portion of money that you could use for tzedakah, you could use to loan to an ani. Now, when you get it back, the assumption is that when you get it back, it's right, there's gonna be money designated for loans.
To loans or tzedakah.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. So you can loan your money that's for Meiser. Yeah. Okay. Now, there's a Gavaldika Sefer HaChinuch over here. Sefer HaChinuch also brings down this mitzvah of lending money. So let's read it inside. Sefer HaChinuch number 4 here. Mitzvah halva la'ani, lahalvis la'ani k'hasagas hayad. You should lend the money to an ani as much as you need. Kifi ma shetzarach loy, l'man harchiv loy, to give him some peace of mind. U'lahokim me'alav an chasei. V'zoyis ha-mitzvah shalva hu yoyse chazak u'mechuyeves. It's a greater mitzvah than mitzvah snisin tzedakah, than tzedakah itself. And he says why, and he says the 2 reasons that we said. But you go to the next paragraph, he says an unbelievable idea here, which applies equally to tzedakah and to lending money. So why not Hashem, what is the idea behind the mitzvah of tzedakah? So we think that the idea of mitzvah tzedakah is that we should look out for one another. We have to look out for one another. It's training in how look at our ummah, look at the nation of Klal Yisrael. We look out for one another. That means that we have to be careful and looking for the benefit of the recipient, the person needing the money. So Zakta Sefer HaChinuch, unbelievable proud of here. He says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to give bracha to Klal Yisrael. He wants to give bracha to Klal Yisrael. But he says bracha is only chal. Bracha is only it only is able to go onto someone that is a mavorach, that is someone that's roy to get a bracha. You can only get, right? The bracha is not just about the person giving the bracha, it's about the person receiving the bracha. The one receiving the bracha is to be a kli to receive the bracha. Who is a kli to receive bracha? A person that's a mavorach a person that's a blessed, a baruch type of person. Who's that? It's a person that gives to others. So he says Hashem wanted to give bracha to Klal Yisrael. In order to give bracha to Klal Yisrael, he had to make us people that are ready for bracha. So he had to give us opportunities to become baruch people. So therefore, he created poor people so that we could give to them. And by us giving to them, now we're ready to get bracha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That means it's 100% for the benefit of the giver. He says, out to the recipient, Hashem could have given him. What does he need us for? Hashem doesn't need us to take care of other people. Hashem could take care of everybody.
But that's the purpose.
Hashem
That doesn't mean that it does.
What?
That doesn't mean that should be our das.
That's our das is 100%. Hashem well, you're not supposed to be selfish, like, oh, I'm doing this because I want to be a great guy. But the point is, how you become a great person is by thinking about the other one. So by giving us opportunities to take care of others, Hashem gave us opportunities to receive bracha from Him. It's not the opposite. So when someone comes to your door,
Okay, so get upset at them for knocking
What?
your supper? I still get upset at them for knocking your supper?
I'm not sure if you could. Because what he's saying is that when the person is knocking at your door, really what's happening is, this is my opportunity. Hashem wants to give me bracha. There's something stopping. I'm not really proper
He's gonna do
kibul.
the favor.
But the second that I give him the money, now I became a kli kibul because now I'm a mavorach person. Now I can get bracha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's unbelievable.
Why is it
idea.
dafka by this mitzvah?
I don't know why
Anything
it's-
being on the mechaber.
Really, he says it should. That's what I said. I think it would apply equally to tzedakah at least. And this, he says, Shur Shemitz in the second paragraph, number 4 here. Shiratza akel liyos bruav milumadim umurgalim b'midas hachesed. He wants us to be accustomed to doing chesed. Ki hi hamida mishubachas umitoch hechsher gufa b'midas hatoivos. When we accustom ourselves to having good midas, you ru'uyim l'kabbalas hatoiva. That's when we become roy for our Kadosh Baruch Hu's tova. K'mo she'amru shechalois hatoiva v'arbachu lo'elam al hatoiv lo'y behefloi. A chalois baruch is only chal on a good person. Ubehitiv Hashem yisbarach on toivim, then yishalem cheftzoi. Okay, it's unbelievable. And he said, "V'im lav mitzat cherish zeh." If it weren't for this, halei hu baruch hu yashvik lani d'machzorei. Zula saying he doesn't need our help. This is a whole new perspective on tzedakah and chesed according to the Mishnah. Let's stick over here to the inyan of halva. Okay, so we raised a question earlier that we know that there's a halacha of kedima in hilchos tzedakah, right? We had a whole shiur on it from Rabbi Khan, and there's a whole seder adavar in hilchos tzedakah of kedima. That means if there's someone in your city, you give to your city before a different city. If there's a relative, you give to someone your relative before someone in your city, etc. That same seder hadavar applies to halva. So if someone wants to borrow money, is your relative, comes before a neighbor. A neighbor comes before someone from a different city, etc. What about, where's the mitzvah of lending, is there any mitzvah to lend to an ashir, to a wealthy person? Well, why would he need to borrow money? So there's two scenarios that a person who's classified as an ashir would want to borrow money. One is, he has a good business opportunity, and he wants to do a deal. He doesn't have the cash right now. You want to help him do the deal. That's one oifen of halva. And then there's another oifen where he happens to be a rich person, but right now he doesn't have money. He has a lot of assets and stuff. Everything's going to fall apart if you don't give him cash right now. Is that a mitzvah of halva? Is it just a general mitzvah of chesed? And if it is a mitzvah of halva, is it the same as the mitzvah of halva to a poor person? You hear the shaila? So there is a mitzvah like this. If you look in the last thing, before we go into that shaila, we have to introduce another mitzvah. There's a pasuk. Kiyamuch achicha. If someone's falling down, umata yada imach, and his hands are falling, ve'chazakta, you should hold him up. Ger v'soysha v'chai imach. You should give him life. Hechazakta boy. Zok Rashi. Al tanicheyu sheyered v'yipol. Don't let him fall. V'yakashal akimai, and then it's hard to pick him up. He's about to fall. If you let him fall, then he's going to become an ani, and then you have to give him even more. Give him right now, before he becomes an ani. El chazkeu mishas moita sayat. From the minute that he becomes shaky, give him some money. Lama zedonu l'masu shal chamor. If you put it up on the chamor, it will stay. But if it falls to the ground, you can't lift it and put it back on the chamor. It's much more difficult. So there's another mitzvah here called v'chazakta boy. Now v'chazakta boy is not the mitzvah of lending money. It's a general mitzvah. So now we have to go in and see where does that play out. So if you go into the Sefer Chofetz Chaim that I printed out there, so the Chofetz Chaim starts off with this. It says mitzvahs hasei min haTorah lulvos la'aniyei achenu. So he's being medayek over here that the ikar mitzvah is to lend to a poor person. We have to see what's with a wealthy person. She'aram kesef talves ami es ha'ani imach. You should lend to a poor person. And we said that ve'im means a tzachiyah, and he brings a pasuk v'avei tavitenu, etc. If you go down, let's see where it is in this print. If you go down a little bit to the top of the next page, okay. So the top of the next page, he brings what I just brought down. Mitzvah zu gedolah yotzei min tzedakah she'eino ani boish b'davar. He's not embarrassed. Gam shemizat toimech yodai. Also, you're making sure he doesn't fall, like we just spoke out from the pasuk. U'miskayim b'zeh ha'pasuk v'yamuch yichik v'mata yodai v'chazakta boy. By lending him money, maybe you stop the gap, stop the hole, he doesn't fall. Now look at this, where it says the dollar there. Mitzvah gamkein. It's also a mitzvah. Lalvais la'ashir lefisha. To give money and lend to a classified as a wealthy person. B'shah she'ein hamois motzu. If he doesn't have cash on him. The gmilus chesed noyeg bein lani and bein lashir. Because there is chesed to an ashir as well. But the ani comes first. So it's mashma in the Chofetz Chaim, and he explains what he says in the bottom. It's mashma from him that it's a mitzvah to lend to ashir, but it's only chesed. It's not this special mitzvah of halva. Because the special mitzvah of halva is a form of tzedakah. You have to be eligible for tzedakah. So if you have a wealthy guy that needs cash to do a deal, so it's a chesed. but it doesn't, since it's only chesed, it's not specifically the mitzvah of kesef talvis ami, the mela lending to the poor one comes first. Assuming,
Can you use your mice money, John?
yeah, because it's chesed, it's not stuck.
Can you use your mice money to do chesed?
Yeah, you can't do much money to give to high life money and be same as that.
Stucco, but saying if
It's not stuck, it's chesed.
someone I wanna drive someone to the airport, I can take the guys off mice.
It's chesed, it's a chesed. If you need a ride, you pay for his Uber. He can't afford it, he could afford it. If you could afford it,
You could.
No, it's
That's Usher. You could afford it.
Yeah, he can't afford, but he doesn't have the chetem to do this.
So then he's
When
considered.
it costs you to
He's
do
considered
chesed,
an ani for
when it
this.
costs you to do chesed, it's a charamayis. Yeah, nice is chesed, it's not tzedakah, it's
He can afford the gas, but I'm not charging
It's
him.
not tzedakah, but it's chesed. You can't use the portion of your ma'isa which is designated for tzedakah.
But you can't
Then
take, you can't take mice and money to do a chesed, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you can.
It's
No,
something
you could, but
only
there's a
a
portion
chesed.
of your ma'isa which is supposed to be for tzedakah.
It's
that-
not,
you
that
classify
portion
that.
can't use for that.
Now, there's other nafkaminas also. He says, the other nafkaminas if you made a neder. If you made a neder to give the loan. So he said, nidrik tzedakah is like nidri hektish. It's mamash chomer, but nidri on chesed, is not the same level. You could,
Rabbi, you went over that really fast. So you say you cannot give somebody money to go on an Uber, and that's
If there's somebody that can't afford it, it's a rare case, because then he's an ani if he can't afford it.
right. Oh, okay.
So he can let him do the Uber then,
Okay,
or
good.
pay you back. Why can't you pay you? Well, let's say
You're giving him a ride.
Let's say you're giving him a ride. He can't get there otherwise. So you do chesed, but it costs you money to do that chesed. So it costs you money to go visit someone in the hospital. The guy's the wealthiest guy in the world, but he needs visitors. So it doesn't do money, but it costs me money to go, and I have to take an Uber to go do the chesed. Now, you can take that off myself.
Okay.
It's a mitzvah. We pass in that mitzvahs come off meiser, but it's not the portion of your meiser which is designated for tzedakah.
What portion is designated for
We won't
tzedakah?
have to get to that.
Stam
That was
Second,
how it
maybe a
counts. That was
third.
how it counts.
Stam mitzvahs
Yeah,
come
that's the whole
off.
shtickle.
Yeah.
Stam mitzvahs
Not
come off.
mitzvah to do, like to buy lulav or an esrog. But this I'm not chayv to do it. Someone else can do it. I don't have to do it. So since I don't, if you can't use your meiser money to buy tefillin and lulav, but this is a mitzvah that I don't have to do it. So the mela, if I'm doing it, I can take it off meiser. So now the
You could use chomesh to buy tefillin, according to Avos Chesed.
yeah, it might be.
But according to what you said, in case of Talvat Sami means that I have to, then I can't take
Use
it
how
much.
much to buy your groceries.
What?
According to what you just
No,
said.
no, because it's also like that. That's good. No, that's stuck in money. There's a portion of your mice which
No,
is
it's
stuck in
not.
money. So now, right? I mean, it's a catch-22 then, right? So Zok there is a mitzvah to lend to an asher, but that mitzvah is not this mitzvah because that mitzvah doesn't classify as tzedakah, so it's not the special mitzvah in Kesef Talvis Ami. It's a general mitzvah of Chesed. Okay, so now. But he says over here on the bottom, go look here, and go look here. So eventually we found that like this. We found that the Avos Chesed is mechalek in two places. He's mechalek between two different types of loans to an asher. Okay, there's a loan to an asher, which is done. He needs the cash right now to close this deal, close that deal, right? So you're going to lend him for free, and you're going to do a beautiful chesed for him, but that's not the mitzvah in Kesef Talvis Ami. But what happens if the scenario is that he's mamish going to lose his whole business, and he's going to become, and he's going to lose everything. He's going to lose his business, he's going to lose his parnasa, and he just can't pay back. He's going to foreclose on his property, and you can lend him right now, give him that money. Where does that fall in? Is that called in Kesef Talvis Ami as Ani Imach? Is he considered in that category right now? Or is it a loan to an Osher, which is a chesed, but it's not this special mitzvah? So
Wouldn't it, I mean, isn't it Usher that it's for his chakdava? Like,
so it's zicher b'chazakta boy,
That
but
was-
it's a chazakta boy, but is it also in Kesef Talvis? So the Avos Chesed says it's not printed here. I didn't print it here. So he says like this. At the end of that piece, it says like this. "Umatzasi peshel davar lani azdaiti b'zeh sheish chiluk b'davar." I'm just going to read it and then we'll explain it. V'hu, im ha'asher dochok l'ma'os, elu shalav, if he mamish needs the money. Ki l'fa'amim, Because it can happen. Be'ezim mikra dochuk laha'ashir be'inyonav gamkin al sach godol. That the usher needs a large amount, laha'ani al sach katan. Like the ani is a small amount. V'oz yesh al zeh gamkin mitzvahs esei gemura k'moy imal v'laha'ani. V'al zeh kasvatorim kesatal v'esani esani lahiris de bein la'ami. Bein la'ani yesh chiyuv de eraitza lahalvais. Kimun shu gamkin dochuk ata l'moy. You can write the passage. It says, Im kesef talve, what's the passage? Im kesef talve es ami, es ha'ani imach. So let it just skip the word ami. Let it say, Im kesef talve es ha'ani imach. If you're going to lend money to the poor. Why ami? Ami is referring to anyone in the nation. Sometimes there's a mitzvah to lend even to an usher. So he says, if there's a mitzvah to lend to an usher, and because if you don't lend it to him, he's going to fall, then he becomes the mitzvah, like an ani for this purpose, and there's a mitzvah midiraisa, Allah, to lend him money. Okay? So now you could have a scenario that the guy's not eligible for tzedakah, because eligible for tzedakah means he could pay his basic bills for X amount of time. 6 months, whatever. He has enough money or income that he can pay his basic bills. But right now he can pay his bills. What if he loses his house, he loses his property, everything's falling apart, he can't make that, he's gonna, right? The lawyers explained to me the language. It's going to trip the covenant, right? That's lesson. Fine. He's going to mess up his deals. So then he could be some mitzvah with the rice of halva to lend it to him. Okay, it's very very interesting halacha. Okay, one other halacha. The Gemara says that in the Seder Kedima is in Kesef Talbas Ami es Ha'ani Imach. You should lend to a yid before a guy. It's a Gemara Bava Metzia. You should lend to a yid before a guy. So, fact, the Gemara Pshita, obviously lend to a yid before a guy. What does that mean? No, it means even if the guy is willing to pay ribbis, and the yid is not going to pay ribbis. Okay, so even he's willing to pay, and he's not willing to pay, he should still do the free law.
Well, what do you do for myself when you can't, right?
Well, ribbis to a guy?
You can't do that for myself.
No, I'm just saying.
Same as the loan to a Jew, it could be for myself.
Fine. But the question is, Lemaisa in general. So he says, so you see from this Gemara, that if I have a choice to lend money to a guy with interest, or lend free to a yid, so I have to lend free to the yid. So Shaila is, that it's a pellet. Because you had, so the Rishonim and Achronim, earlier Achronim, had Chuvas and Svarim, Shalas and Chuvas, because the Parnasa of Yidden was, in those days, to be money lenders, to lend money to Goyim with interest. So you're telling me I have to close down the whole business, I have to take all my money and lend it free to Yidden for free. So what are you talking about? Well, what is the pasuk referring to? So, and also you see from here that like we started off, if it's going to cost me money to go and lend money to someone else, it sounds like I'm going to spend that money. Because I have to give up the potential rebach I would have had by lending it to a guy and lending it to the yid for free. So the Achronim, all Masber, Moshe has a tshuva on it that's very clear, that we're not talking about somebody that his parnasa is to lend to goyim with interest. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about he has money, lacks extra money for chesed. So now he can make money off that money, or he can do it for free. We're talking about a minute amount, not a large amount. I'm not talking about the imuchui to give up large amounts of money to go and lend and give someone else for free. We're talking about a small amount. So, and this could be my simchayonim taka, because this could be that you would take out money from some sort of investment or CD or something which is interest bearing. You'll be making a few percent on your money, and then take that money out to lend someone for free. Are you required to do that? So according to this, if it's just it's extra money, I'm not thinking about it too much. It's not my business, but I'm not going to keep it in my checking account. Making I'll put it over there. It's making a couple percent. It's extra money that I'm not really thinking about, but it is going to cost me money at the end to go and take that money out to lend to the guy, to lend to the yid. It's a mafurish Gemara. They ain't required to do that.
There's talking about after Meiser. You completely filled up you're done with Meiser. You still have to take out that money.
What do you want to say? You want to
I'm
say?
saying obviously you can't talk about Meiser because otherwise you can't lend to you can't put it in your CD. So we're talking about
Money. Right. You want to
know
know
about Meiser.
Yeah,
Somebody's
it's
money.
but obviously it's very guaranteed.
If someone needs money to borrow, I'm not concerned about not getting paid back.
And it's sitting there doing nothing anyway.
It's sitting in a money
So
market
it's
account,
a
whatever,
chesed,
so
so you're doing a
I
ma'aser
have a
chesed.
fee to do that.
Yeah.
What's the idea of the column? It says like it's secure. If the person cannot pay, like if you take his column and he asks not the case of the ashkenaz, in the case of the ani, then it will be in bigger problems. But also, if you don't take that column, you're gonna lend to someone else. So what's the?
That doesn't matter. Well, that's also your mashkin. I mean, but eventually you're allowed to collect your money. Maybe Mesadra the Balchoiv, the Gemara says, that we don't let the Balchoiv take from the ani, we don't let him take his bed and his pillow. You don't put him in the street. But, you know, you could figure out a way. Now, if he's really an ani and he has no, I don't know if we're talking, in a so that type of situation, Chaim says, if there's not going to be a proper way to collect from him, then it's very shaykh, you don't have this mitzvah. So, you have people that there's a proper way to collect from them.
How do you determine that, a little money? How do you determine this? Who determines it?
Yeah. What's called a little, what's called a lot?
Yeah, who determines it?
So Ramesh's Lashon is, it's Kefila Prat. I'll read you the Lashon, and I don't know if it's going to help us, but his Lashon is, his Lashon here is, the Masha Omer of Nachman B'Shem Rav Huna, the Ami Koydim Sheval Bo, the Filu L'Nochri B'Ribis or Yisor B'Chinam, this that you have to give Yisor B'Chinam, Ein Zeh B'Sach Gadol. The Masha Kasa Parnassus Ribis Mishar, Ma'ishta Parnassus Ribis Mishar Parnassus. You don't have to stop your whole business to give people free loans. So he says, El Ayri Vadei Oy B'Sach Koton, Sharibis Mizeh Muat, Shetzorach Levate. So eventually people figure out what that is. But
Every person, depending on
yeah,
what
obviously
it
it's
is,
going to be a different stock
it's
company
gonna be
further.
different
I think it's an
prices.
amount that you're not really cheshboning in your. There's some people that they're living off of their investments. They're living off of their look. A year that I'm only making 4%, I'm talking versus 8%. It's going to affect me. It's an amount. I think he's talking an amount that you're not really thinking about. It's not in your cheshbon. It's nice to have extra money, whatever, but it's not something that really is a significant amount in that sense. So in that way, maybe that money mechuyev to set aside and or whatever and lend if the person comes to you. Okay, to be continued. Based on Hashem, Shakar.
Who has a business on your this?
No, that's what I said. That's his business.
The Jew has a business.
So then he doesn't have to give up that business.
But that business alone is the question.
Well, it's a tough business, that business.